All right, so some big news around Chicago. If you haven't heard already, the Federal National Guard, as well as other federal troops, are going to be deployed in Chicago. And so I just wrapped up watching the Governor Pritzker and Attorney General press conference, as well as the preceding Trump conference that he talked about, where he announced the transition to from the Space Force to Alabama, as well as other questions that was taken. But I'm saying this because my hometown is Chicago. Now, I'm not going to claim and say that because I lived in Chicago for so long that I understand and know everything about Chicago. Of course, I don't know the details, but what I do know year after year is we have the same problems of crime, of murder. This past weekend, Labor Day, we've had, 8, 9 deaths, and we had all these different shootings. Just happens year after year. And now the numbers, you can say it goes up and down and whatever it is, but it's not like what it was when DC was cleaned up. So this past several weeks when Trump brought in the National Guard for DC. I talked about it in a previous video, but a lot of things are happening with the stats literally just plummeting, murders going to zero and all this stuff. And what I want to talk about just as a commentary very quickly is that when you want to get something done, when the governor, when the mayor, these guys, when they want to get something done, it will get done, right? And so what they're doing is not getting things done. They're not having murders go down. They're not removing these things, and they're just talking a lot. I watched the whole thing, and if you're not of God, if you don't have a godly outlook, if you don't have and declare Christ as Lord and say you want to do things for the Lord, for the kingdom, then it's going to be a lot of talk, and it's going to be roundabout. And conversely, if you want to do things for the Lord, it's going to be attacked. Trump, these guys, Republicans, conservatives, they're getting attacked like crazy, and people are skewing things. I'm just literally listening to this, and they're skewing the intentions that Trump has and what he wants to do with Chicago, as well as many other cities and all these things. Now, this is very quickly what I believe is happening on the outside, right? So you could say there's a little bit of acting and various things going on, but as I've said before, on the outside, people are going to argue about immigration. They're going to argue about crime and murder and all these things that people can see visibly on the outside. But what's really happening, I believe, is that this is a facade and a front for other crazier conspiracies, if you want to call it that, the takedown of the deep state, of all these embedded things. Who knows the level of insane criminality that's going on, whether it's gang related, whether it's something with trafficking and all these things, and the stronghold that the devil has in these cities. And it's being masked on the outside by, let's have this, feud with liberals and conservatives and saying, oh, we don't want these guys here, and crime and burglary and all these different things that we see as citizens. But really behind it is this, as I've said before, with Q and these guys saying that the National Guard, when they're federalized and they're going to do this takedown, whatever is happening, it has to be done in secret, because there's a higher order of this whole deep state, or whatever word you want to call it, being the target. And for the public to be able to digest it properly, they're going to be fed certain stories, right? DC was a good starting point where criminals and all that was being brought down, crime was being brought down, and that's what the public knows. But behind it is where there's more that's going on. And so even here, if you just watch this whole thing, you're going to see, and this is the Attorney General, the governor, I'm not sure who this other lady is, but basically they're saying things for the public, and the news articles are all talking about, Trump assures a Chicago National Guard deployment, and the Governor Pritzker addresses and prepares to, say all these different things, politically correct, or from their Democrat point of view, politically correct things. The mayor is saying, let's defend our city, let's defend and do this and that, and just so many things from the outside. But really behind the scenes is where Trump and the White Hats are working on something bigger. And again, that is my theory and many other White Hats of what's happening as the whole National Guard thing, federal troops are being deployed. You have, immigration, ICE, and all of that stuff, bringing and removing criminals from, other nations that are being brought in, all that stuff. So there's secretly something else going on, but it's not being completely addressed publicly, because the continuity and the secrecy of this operation is far bigger, and the implications are far wider than you wanting to address public perception and making sure that people are at ease. So they're going to say things, I believe, on the outside to address domestic issues, but really there are international and bigger, higher level issues that need to be addressed. So I'm not going to go here and say, Chicago, this and these small, issues and all that. People on TikTok, Twitter, and these guys, they're all going to talk about it all day long. But my point that I want to make in this video is that behind the scenes, there's a far deeper evil that is being addressed. And so I believe that Chicago is going to get a great cleanup with Trump's help, but you're going to see a lot of fighting, whether it's intentional with theatrical things or not, from the Democrats and the liberals, or if it's actually a genuine thing that they're trying to fight and like counter Trump with, who knows? But what I'm saying is that Chicago, they're in a lot of trouble right now at this moment with all the crime and all that stuff happening. And I know because I've seen and witnessed it in my many years living there directly in Chicago, but also because there's a greater plan that God has for Chicago as well as the other cities. So this is just the second city among many. I believe a lot of the guards are coming from LA and many other places. They're going to like all mobilize there. They're going to take care of what it is for the short term, and they're going to be, long-term things that they're going to do. But essentially, if Chicago gets cleaned up and becomes this world-class city, it's already a world-class city, in my opinion. But once it cleans up, it's going to set the tone for the rest of the nation, and there's going to be a great thing. So I'm hoping and praying for that. We got to pray for Chicago. We got to pray from a Christian perspective to remove the strongholds that Satan has over that city. And I continually pray for that. But as it continues to move and become more godly, there's already great believers there doing great work. But again, watch out for the wolves in sheep's clothing that are trying to do things that are anti-God when they think it's of God, but it's going against what Trump is doing with other Republicans and what they're doing, but they call themselves doing God's work. So be careful of that. Pray for that. Pray for the city. More to come, guys. Just want to give you guys my commentary here. I wanted to also mention that I am continuing to do more consistent uploads. Look out for that, but also calling attention this month to my fundraiser. You guys know I've been trying to fundraise for many things that's happening behind the scenes for me and my team, as well as other legal battles. I need all the help that I can get from you guys. I think we can get there if we have just a few hundred more people give a certain amount, and we can just hit that goal. So just want to advocate for that and let you guys know that I'm doing that as a marathon for this month, calling attention to that. So love you guys. Be encouraged. More to come. Talk to you guys very soon.